Parents Driving Tips brought to us by Discovery Parts. And for this episode, we're going to talk about dropping your tires off the outside of the track. You're thinking, why is this a tip? Well, I don't want to drop my tires off the outside of the track. Well, nobody wants to do that, but I guarantee if you race and you race hard enough, you're eventually going to find yourself in a situation where you're dropping your tires off the outside of the track. And what we're going to talk about today is some of those things that should be in your mind that when you get into that situation, you at least don't do the wrong things. There's really not much you can do to solve that problem. You've dropped your tires off, but what do you want to not do in those situations? So that's what we're going to talk about today in this episode. We're back here with my trusty dry race board, and what I wanted to show you is what this is going to look like. So just imagine this is Mid-Ohio at the kink right before the carousel. And this is a good example of what I'm talking about when we look at the situations of when you drop a tire off, because this is an exact turn where we've seen this a million times. So you're coming through this turn, and it's a really, really fast turn that you're just barely tapping the brakes or lifting to go through it, right? So you're coming in here, you're out to this, there's an outer wall here, you're so close to the edge, you come in here, right? You just tap the apex, and of course, you're carrying all that speed. And how many times have we seen somebody just drop it off there, right? Well, let me just tell you an example of what Will Nonamaker did way back in 1993 when he was starting out. He was in a Volkswagen Golf. He dropped his tires off there, and instead of just straightening the wheels a little bit, he thought he'd be cute and try to bring it right back on the track. Well, what did he do? Shot right back across the track because he got it back on the track too quickly. And remember, that's why it's also nice to go out and do track walks, because then you can see how much drop-off there is on some of these places. Like as an example, there is a drop-off there at the edge of the curbs. So if you drop your tires off and you try to rip it right back on, you're going to catch that curb edge, and that's what's going to shoot you back across the track. And this turn is also very familiar with the second to last turn at Watkins Glen. You get into this situation where it's a really fast, sweeping turn before you get to the last turn at Watkins Glen. And again, what you have there is a wall right here, wall. And when you shoot back across, boom, you're going to hit it. So what things can you do when you get into that type of situation? Well, first off, don't panic. And if you're out on the edge, just try to keep the steering wheel as straight as possible and try to ride it out along the edge. The worst thing you can do is say, I don't want to give up this 1 or 2 seconds by going down the grass for a while. Well, you're better off going down the grass for a while than you are hooking to the inside. So when you go off, you want to, again, make sure that you kind of keep the steering wheel straight. Remembering now, you're going to have grip on one side where it's still in the pavement, and there's not going to be any grip where you're in the dirt and in the grass. Especially if it's a little damp, that's really going to be wet. So trying to get that steering wheel straight as possible as you're going through the grass. And again, let's use this green. If we're this person here, we're going to want to straighten it out and then try to slowly bring it back onto the track, okay? Again, did I lose more time than whipping it back on? Yes, but I didn't wreck. One other tip here Will's going to give you when you talk about getting back on the track is, yes, you've done all this, you got yourself back on the track. Now here's the thing to remember, especially if we're at Mid-Ohio. We come down to the turn 1 here, right? At Mid-Ohio, boom, you come out here, down here to turn 1. Where did our tires drop off? Right side. And we're going to come down here to turn 1. The outside tires are going to be the same tires we dropped off here. And guess what they're going to look like? Right here, I brought a little show and tell here. You're going to pick up tons of little dirt. This is just a tire that came off the track, but this is an example of what you're going to have. You're going to go out, you're going to get dirt, you're going to get grass, you're going to pick up some clag rubber. All that's going to, rocks, right? All of this is going to be on those tires. It's going to probably take a couple turns to get that off. So when you go to your next 1 or 2 turns, make sure that you're a little bit more careful and get that rubber off, get that mud off, and don't be trying to go through the next 2 or 3 turns just as hard as you'd normally go. Because why? This is where wrecks are going to happen for you. It all builds up, and it goes from one thing to another. So, again, just a little suggestion on when you're dropping wheels off, what not to do. Don't panic.